Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Michelle Adamas, and I'm the owner of Vintage Revival Design Co. in Northern Virginia. And I'm so happy to have you here. This is a little different. We're only live on YouTube today. I'll talk maybe a little bit about that as we're creating today. I wanted to share a little home decor project. I love functional storage. And I especially love the functional storage when it's really pretty. So we're going to take this little set of boxes that I've had for a long time, and we're going to use inlays to transform them. So I'm going to show you what we started with. First of all, if you come on here, please say hello and let me know where you're watching from. I'd really appreciate that. I'll be able to see comments and answer your questions as we go along. So I want to show you what we're going to start with today. This is a set of little 3 wood boxes. These were actually, they're little, I guess you call them like a balsa wood box. They're originally from a hotel in Austria. These were given to me by a friend, and they were used to, they would gift their like chocolates and things like that in them. And so they're really pretty, but I wanted to do something different with them. So there are 3 sizes of the boxes. I had initially just done a gold glaze over them because initially years ago, I would need things for staging when I was taking photographs of furniture. And so these were like little gold boxes that I could pop on top of a dresser or something like that before I photographed it. So I've done a little bit of the prep work, but I wanted to show you what we were starting with. Hi, Jan. Thank you so much for being here and for saying hello. I appreciate that. And so let me go ahead and add my project to the stage. I'm going to add that. I'm going to remove this. Let's see. And I'm going to go here and put this here, just a little maneuvering as we go. I hope the lighting's okay. We are having a little bit of overcast. We had some rain today. So if the lighting is difficult, let me know. I think I could turn on a couple more. But I'm going to show you where we're at with those boxes now. So if you saw the original picture, you know that it had this carving of the hotel name on the box, and it also had it on the inside. So I have already filled that in, and this is part of a longer video using paint inlays on many things. So I wanted to let you know that I filled in that carving just to create a smooth surface. And I also created a crackle finish that is a little hard to see right now, but I think you'll see it when we when we seal this. So this was done first with a coat of River Rock Chalk Synthesis paint by Wiesel. I then added a crackle medium over this and then went over it with Wiesel's Chalk Synthesis paint in dried time. Hello from Cocoa Beach, Florida. How are you? Thank you so much for joining and saying hello. I'm sorry, I know I see it's O and JF. If you want to share your first name, I would love that. And if not, that's okay too. No problem. So I have these 3 boxes just like this, and they stack. You might be able to see a little bit of the crackle here. I wanted something that wasn't too too crackly, I guess, if that's a phrase. But we have the big one, and they just stack like this. So I think these are great for storage of all kinds of things. And I thought that we would use the lattice rose inlay for these boxes. We're going to be using elements from this lattice rose inlay. And another one that I think would look great that I almost did was I could have used this one, which is the Petite Fleur in pink. And so this would be, if you have this one instead, this would be great too. Olga, thank you so much for sharing your name. I appreciate that. And welcome. So I thought what I want to do is I want to use all the different designs so that when you stack it, it's interesting. When you're opening them, they're interesting. I'm also going to do the inside, but we're going to do the outside today. And I'll be sure to share the pictures of the inside when I share the finished project. So I thought we could start with this larger one. And the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and seal this. I'm going to be using a matte sealer. I'm going to do 2 coats of sealer on this just to make sure that I've got it covered. and I'm going to use the sealer as my medium for the paint inlay. So I'm going to start by just, let me grab a brush over here. I'm going to start by just brushing on the sealer. It's going to dry pretty quickly. I wanted to have this part done before we got started, but I didn't. And I don't mind going right over those gold pieces. It's not the little, I was careful to clean those up from any paint so that they would still be in place. So I'm just going to seal the box, and we will then dry this off, and we'll be able to, I'm not going to do the bottoms of the boxes, but I am going to do at least 3 sides and the top. So I'll probably end up doing the back too. It has some little, some gold hardware on the back. It has a little hinge. I'm not being, this isn't like a piece of furniture, and, you know, I'm not being, you know, too concerned about how the sealer is going on. It's okay. I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to make sure that I get in here with my sealer. So when you're working with this, I could have done this with the chalk synthesis paint, but I did want a little bit of a crackle finish. So what I've done is I've alternated the primary color on the inside. So on this one, the blue will show through the crackling, and on the inside, it'll be the green that shows through the crackling. And so I thought that I would just give it a little interest. I think it's nice when you can have something, a nice little surprise inside. It's kind of like doing the sides of your drawers on a dresser or something like that. And I really enjoy that. Sandra, hello, and thank you so much for coming over. So I guess while I'm doing this, I can explain a little bit about my decision not to go live on Facebook as well. I will still be, you know, asking you to vote on projects, and sharing the finished projects and linking to the replay on YouTube. I've given a lot of thought to this, and one reason is that every other day I am seeing where a creator has lost their page on the other platform, where it's been, you know, taken over by someone else. And it's gotten to the point where if I were new and didn't know any better, I wouldn't recognize the daily things that I get in Messenger or email, you know, people trying to get really clever about getting your information or access to your page. And so I've really decided that I'm just going to, you know, I don't want to give up Facebook. I'm so grateful for everyone here, and it's taken me a long time to, you know, get to know so many of you. And so it's not that, I don't want you to think it's not that you're not important to me. You absolutely are. It's that it's just become a platform that really doesn't feel very safe to me. And so I will be doing all of my lives, and you'll be able to watch the replays on YouTube, or at least the majority of them. And that's why I've decided to do that. So I hope you understand. And the other reason is that I am actually really trying to grow my YouTube channel. So I love this platform for the fact that it's a search engine. I use it for so many things. And, you know, when I want to know how to do something, I'm usually on YouTube over here, looking it up first. So that's usually one of the first places I go. So we're just going to dry this off a little bit, or I think we'll just let that dry while I go ahead and seal these others. I'm just going to kind of carefully go here. I've got a little excess there. We're going to be putting a second coat of this on our boxes to be the carrier for the paint inlay. And by carrier, I mean the medium that will allow the paint inlay to transfer to the project. So this is just a matte. I really love this color. This is the color that I used to do the mirror sconces that I did last week. as a little makeover. And so that we did live together last week. And it's just a really pretty color. We're getting into fall as well. And so even though this has I guess you would say more of a spring theme, is because the green will allow it to kind of blend in, even though it's got roses on it in my fall decor. Thank you so much, Jan, for saying that and for understanding. It's a really sad thing that is just happening, and they're getting really clever about it. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I so appreciate you following me over here as well. I will publish the vote every week. And the other thing that I would ask, if you enjoy my videos, if you follow me anywhere, I would really love it if you would sign up for my email list. I am so far from being somebody who emailed constantly that my business mentor has, she's getting on me constantly about that and saying that, I really need to connect via email more often. But if anything were to happen to my page or my channel or anything like that, that's a way that we could continue to keep in touch and that type of thing. So if you're not subscribed already, I would really appreciate it and be thankful if that's something that you thought you would want to do. So I'm going to just go ahead and seal this one. And then by the time I get these sealed, we are going to get to the paint inlays, guys. But by the time I get these sealed, the first one will be dry enough for us to apply inlays to. So again, I'm not being super careful about this or precious about it. I'm really glad that you like YouTube, Jan. I really appreciate that. I enjoy it too. I like that you can find so much information and that you can, fast forward if you want to get to just what you want to know about. And I just really appreciate your support. So thank you. All right. So that one is done as well. I don't want drips though. It's okay to be a little heavy-handed, but I don't want drips. I'll seal the others. I'll seal the underneath on the final seal coat. So I'm just putting a little sticky note in here just to keep this from, sticking, keeping the lid from being able to open. So we're almost done with this. I'm going to go ahead and do this. What I do like about this crackle medium also is that if I apply it heavily, I get the larger crackles. I think that's true of most crackle mediums though. If I apply it with a lighter hand, then I get thinner crackles, and a heavier hand, I'm going to get big crackles. So I really tried to do a little bit of both. And I really love a 2-color finish. I think it's interesting. I think there's a place for a solid color finish for sure. But I think that an easy way to add interest is with just a couple of colors and either dry brushing the other or using a crackle medium or some other kind of resist medium, something like that. So I really do enjoy that. So I'm going to do this part. Your Facebook. Yep. All the classes from your favorite. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So Sandra, I'll go back and look, but I have that course. Well, let me double check, but I can send you a link to that course, or that video. And I want you to know that I am so glad you said something, because if that ever happens to anyone, all you have to do is reach out and I will send you a link to that. I think I know exactly where that is. And I'd be happy to just post that link. I'll send it to you in Messenger, or I'll tag you in a post on my page. Okay. So thank you so much for saying something. I've had a lot of friends who had that issue as well. So I do have a platform where I do, where I deliver my paid courses. And so that's helpful too, to have something outside of that. But all right, we are almost there, you guys. You are so patient to chat with me, and while we do this. So, yep. Okay. Sandra, I'll go into my Podia and my course platform and see if there's any paid courses that you were in. I'll make sure you get relinked to those. And if it's a Facebook Live, since you said it was the Croc one, that'll be easy for me to find. And I will post that for you, okay? All right, so let's do that. Okay. I wish there was an easier way to index the videos, but anyway, okay. So we've got, this one is here. I've got it. I think I swatted a little bit of medium over there. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. I probably got my fingers where I shouldn't, but I'm going to go ahead and set this aside over here to dry and make a little room. And I'll need another brush in a second. So what I want to do is I'm going to think about what I want on top, and I want to alternate the designs. So this is about 9, and if I go to the 9 1/4 mark, about 9 1/4 square. So I'm going to go here and let me get, I think I'm going to go with this. Let's see which design I want to use. There are several in here, and I've got some leftover scraps from the sap bucket project that I did. But I'm thinking of this could be a really pretty one on here. And then I think I really love the all over pattern on that. So let's just go with this one. We'll just go ahead and get started. And so I'm going to get a pencil over here. I have one. Hopefully it's sharpened. It is. All right. And so I want to make sure, though, that I get this bit in here. So I might even just do it this way. I kind of want to get a center design a little bit. This is over here, and that's not going to go center. So I'm going to come off a little bit, and I'm going to center it as best as I can. So I know I'm going to cut about there, and maybe I want to come down just a little bit. I could measure, but I'm just going to eyeball it and see how we do. If it's not perfect, I'm always saying that if it's not perfect, it's okay, because it is, guys. It really is okay. All right. So I am going to go, I'm just going to go like this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off right here at this area. And I'll save this because I'm also remember, I'm going to be doing the sides and the edges of this. So I'm going to do that. And then I've got it about here, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off. I'm just going to go ahead and cut off right about here. And it might overlap a little bit, but as long as I don't wet that or, something like that, I think I'll be okay. So we're just going to cut here. I don't know why my scissors are sticking a little bit, because they are clean. So you can eyeball it like this, or if, precision is important to you, then you certainly can measure, find the center of your inlay and all of that, and that'll be fine too. So you can do it either way. And I am going to go ahead and do this part. I don't know why these are sticky, but the grid line on your inlay helps tremendously to make pretty straight cuts. Okay, so I've got this, and we're just going to go ahead and do this top part first, except that I am a little bit over. So I'm going to cut just shy of right here. So shy meaning that I'm going to go over this line just a little bit so that I do go to the edge, but I don't have to. The only place that the paint inlay is really going to transfer is on wherever you've applied your medium, right? So let's do that. All right. So I've got this here, and I'm going to go ahead and, did I do that right? I completely messed that up. All right, so it is not in the center like I wanted. I'm just going to go with it. That's okay. All right, I am just going to go with it. I'm not even really worried about these gold parts because I can always rub that off. As long as it's not cured and sealed, I should be able to rub that off with a baby wipe. Okay, so what I'm going to need is I'm going to need some water, and I'm going to need a paper towel or a baby wipe. I like to use a baby wipe because it does already have a little moisture built in, but I'm going to go ahead and get a paper towel and just kind of dry off my brush a little bit. I probably should have gotten just a new one, but I'm going to just squeeze out the moisture in this brush here. Okay. Yes, Jade. Hi, Jade. How are you? Um, the blue paint is River Rock. Thank you for asking. So the blue paint is River Rock, but Jade, I did a an undercoat of the River Rock for the outside of the boxes, added a crackle medium, and then I went over that crackle medium with dried thyme, which is actually a beautiful green. And so you'll be able to see really both colors. So I'm going to pick this up right here. I've got a little something. I don't know what I did. I'll figure that out. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to apply a generous coat of my medium. This is just a matte medium. I want to be a little careful here. And I want just I'm going to try not to go over my gold pieces. But if I do, like I said, I think I'll be able to wipe that up, or I can paint over it with a gold paint. I'm still deciding if I'm going to touch up this gold or not. So I am applying a generous coat. It's also warm, so everything is drying just a little bit faster. Just going over to that edge. I want to try not to go over the edge of my box so that the paint inlay won't have anywhere to go. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up with, let's see, my edge is here. So I'm going to line it up here. Whoops, I'm going to have to come over just a little bit. Just like that. I'm going to smooth this into place. It didn't go all the way up to the top, but I can do some gold or something like that. I'm going to just kind of spritz. I would usually do this before I added this too, but I've got so many paint inlays over here and a small space that I'm working in. So I've misted this to release the paint, just to make that contact into the medium. Okay. And now what I'm doing is just dampening that paper. This does a couple of things. It is also helping to release the paint inlay. And also when this backing paper, the carrier sheet, gets a little cloudy, you know that it's dry and is ready to moisten again and then release your inlay. So that's a really helpful thing. I'm not rubbing because I could actually end up smearing my paint. So I am basically patting or tamping down. And if I have some wrinkles, there may be a little wrinkle in my paint inlay. And I'm okay with that because these are really, these are just old boxes. So I want to make sure that I've gotten all of this area. It's already starting to dry a little bit. And so we're going to do the top of the next one. So for this one, and then we'll do the side separately. So for this one, I want a different design on the top. And I'm trying to think of what that might be. I really don't want to use the stripes. It's going to be fairly prominent – because the smaller one is extra small, so they weren't completely in size. I think let's do one of these on the second one. And so I'm going to take the next size. I want to save these scraps because we'll be using these on the edges of our box. So I'm going to trade places here. I'm working in a very small situation today, you guys. And let me see if there are any questions. Okay, I think we're good. So here I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm just going to go ahead and use my fingers. I'm going to see if I can't get this to be in the middle here a little bit. That's pretty darn good. So here I'm going to just go ahead and use my finger. I didn't get it straight. So I'm going to use my fingers, kind of like we do for decoupage paper. And we'll try it this way and see if that doesn't help me a little bit more. All right. And now I'll just go ahead and cut this out. Turn it up over. So I'm going to just cut on my folded lines. Just like this. And again, if I go a little over, I like to give myself a little wiggle room if I can, so that I don't lock myself into not being able to reposition it, kind of like I did on that first one. So we're going to go here. I think this is such a pretty transfer, or a pretty inlay. I always say I get the names mixed up sometimes when I'm working with them, but just such a pretty design. So I'm going a little bit over my crease lines, just a little bit, to cut this. Okay, and now I'll set that aside and we'll do the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and get our medium on here. I'm being generous with my medium. I have something that I can brush it off on. If I just went a little too heavy, that's okay. Kind of curve around there. Just like that. Do you have a favorite inlay? And have you used the inlays? Let me know that. They really did take me a while to get the hang of. There's a little bit of a learning curve to them. But when you get through that, they really just have so much potential. All right, so now we're going to take this one and we're going to kind of line this up a little bit like this. Oops. I'm going to get paint in there. All right, I'm going to pull from here and see. All right, so I'm going to smooth this out just like this. And then again, I'm going to take this and release that into the medium. I may have lifted that medium when I moved my inlay a little bit. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay. So again, I'm dampening that. Just doing a little pounce. And you just want to make sure not to rub them. Okay. Okay, let's do the last one. So I've got this one, so that's going to show up. And now I need to choose the design for the top one. And I could do something like the little stripe. That could be pretty, but I'm going to see what else we have. I think I had more of a yellow one. I'm just kind of going through the designs. What would you guys think of the red damask design on the top of the smallest one? That would be this one. What do you think of that on the top of it? Or should we just do the little striped roses? Should we do the striped roses since that's the smaller box, we could do a stripe. I think that would be good. Let's do that. We'll do the smaller stripe, and I'll use the red for the insides of something. Okay. So another way that you could do this that would maybe be super smart is to line this up. I'm going to line the center, this little thing here, with a stripe and see if I can get, I'm going to line it up with one of the stripes so that it is, let's see, can I get that? That's going to be a little different because I'm going to get roses on one part and not on the other. So we actually are going to go ahead and do that red. So it's just a little too, it's not wide enough to get the design evenly across the edge. So let's use this. Okay. So here's another way that we could do this is just to kind of line this up like this, and then just draw a little line around your surface if you wanted to. So we can do that. And I would just trace here with my pencil. So you can either wing it, crease it, or trace it, right? So those are some options that we have. And now I'll go ahead and do this one. I really like the alternating patterns, and each of the boxes will use all three of these patterns just in a different section. On the outside, on the inside, something like that. Okay. So I'm just going to cut here and here. All right. How are we doing? Okay. All right. I think this is a pretty pattern too. And it's just, it would probably not be something that I would use on the bigger area, but it's pretty for something kind of small. So it's like in a little bit of a small dose. So I do like that. So let's get our medium on here. Again, being generous with it. I'm going to try to, again, use my fingers to try to avoid the gold areas. Okay. And then we're going to just kind of swirl around that. Why don't we do it that way? Okay. And then we're going to, all right, I'm going to get the excess here. Right. And then I'm going to, let's see how I did this. It's going to be kind of square. So I'm just going to do it as best as I can. I think that's going to be fine. So I'm going to start in the center on this one and then work my way out. Okay. And then I'm going to mist and we're going to pounce. And now it'll be time to release the first one that we did. I think that's going to be pretty. That'll be the one on top. So let me know what you would use these boxes for. I think they'll look so pretty stacked. And I just love pretty storage. So it's hard for me to pass up like a box or a trunk or, something like that. All right, so we're going to let this one dry. So let's go ahead and pull the inlay from our first one. And so to do that, it's still a little damp. So one of the things I can do is I'm going to get a fresh baby wipe. One of the things that you can do is to see if it's ready by damping it. And then we can carefully peel back to see if it's ready to release. And so this one is releasing pretty well. So I'm going to dampen this. I'll mist a little bit and then dampen this as we go. Okay, so I think I'm going to start from a corner and work my way back. The most important thing about this step is one of the hardest, and I think that's just to try to have as much patience as you possibly can. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to carefully, slowly release. And I will continue to just kind of wipe as I go. I'm getting a little paper here, so I'm going to come from this side and then we'll come down. I want to try not to get my hands in the paint. If it's not releasing, it's not damp enough. So just slowly. Okay, so here we go. Where I had some wrinkles is where it's showing as more distressed. And I'm going to pull. Are you holding your breath? I'm holding my breath, you guys. Holding my breath. Okay, I'm going to push down right there real quick and mist just a little bit more. And push. So you can keep misting a little bit. Again, just make sure you don't rub. So I was trying to think of about the time. So I would say that it was really about 15, maybe 15 minutes that we let this sit. Some people like to leave it overnight. Now this is starting to pull some of my paint a little bit. So some of the blue is showing through even a little bit more, and I'm okay with that. Because I may have just dampened it too much. So when that starts to happen, what I like to do is turn it and pull from the other side. I probably just got it a little too wet. Not wanting to release there. Now I'm going to pull. And so in that case, you can, if you get it a little too wet, you can let it dry a little bit more. So yeah, I'm getting a little paint pull right there, but I'm okay because it's got that blue underneath. This is so slow. Getting quite a bit of paint pull there. And here. Okay, so I'm going to set this one aside. And so I have a little bit of a paint peel right here, but I'm going to push that down. And why this doesn't bother me is because I do have that undercolor. And so I'm going to let this dry completely, we'll pull the next one, but here's the top of our first box, okay? And so now we're going to pull this one. And I'm going to try just dampening my baby wipe instead of the actual box and see if that doesn't help a little bit for this one. Okay. So I don't get it too wet. Are you still here? Somebody say hello. I don't know if I'm talking to myself or not. And if I am, that's okay. You'll be able to speed through on the replay if you come back and watch that. All right, so let's give it a test and see how we're doing here. If this is going to pull. I didn't give the medium a long time to dry. But I just want to go slowly. On this. So you can, while you're here, if you're here, let me know if you'd like to see all the sides done on at least one box, or if you'd rather wait and see the finished project when it's all complete. This inlay looks so pretty with a lot of different colors. Okay, so I'm dampening this again. Really, really pretty. Now, the other nice thing about using a sealer as your medium to release the paint inlay is that you are really not as prone to smudging when you go to seal the inlay. So I don't really have to spray a fixative or anything like that. Okay. We'll do the sides of the small box, and then I'll show you the finished boxes in the picture. You just have to go slowly and carefully. Going a little faster. And again, getting a little paint pull up, but not too bad. So there is our second one right here. So now we've got this one, and I'll bring these out. So we've got this one and that one there. So we're alternating designs in these. So we're going to go ahead and pull this smaller one. And I'm going to go ahead and dampen my wipe here. Okay. And I'm going to just dampen this. Tap, 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 tap. And I'm going to use inlays on the inside of the lid and the inside bottoms as well, so that when you open it up, it is something that it's pretty inside too, not just on the bottom. Okay. So yeah, I like this. I'm glad that I just went with the this on the smaller of the boxes though. Oops, I've got a little here. See if I can get that to transfer. There may not be a sealer. There may not be any sealer there, so that might be the issue. But I did get a lot of it to transfer, so that was good. A little bit more there too. See if I can get that to release. A little bit more. Okay, so a little distressed. I can see where the paint is still on the inlay and where it's not. All right, so we've got the top of that one done. Now, so I did get a little bit of the red paint on the gold, and so I can just use my baby wipe before I've sealed anything to remove that. Okay, so you can do that as well. So as long as it's not sealed, you've got a little bit of leeway to remove that paint from any areas where you didn't want it to be. Okay. All right. So let me dry this up and then we will do this on all sides and then we'll do that. But so far it's you get the idea. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to set these aside right over here. Let's dry this up really quick. Okay, so since this is the bottom box and it has, I want to think because I want my sides to be different as well. So since this is the bottom box, I may use this design on the edges of this top box here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see what I've got from that I can use. And then I would just kind of center it a bit in here. So I'm going to start by doing this. Like, I'm going to see if I can't get that kind of in the center, if that will work. And I'm going to go right like, see if I can get that kind of in the center a little bit. It goes this way, actually. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay that down and then I can match up. I could go all the way around, but I don't mind trying to line a little bit up. So I think let me see what I want to do. If I want to find that big piece that I cut from and see if because that was the one that I didn't have a lot left on. And so I'm going to, let me just get another little sheet of that. So I can maybe cut one that goes all the way around, if possible. Okay. So I'm going to set this aside again. And all I really want to do is make sure that I'm alternating the patterns. So on this one, where I've got the red, and now I'm going to do this one on the bottom. On the inside, I'll do that other floral. And I think that'll be really pretty, or maybe even something just a little bit different. So instead of, I'm going to see if I can, will this even go all the way around? It won't. So we're going to have to do a little bit of pieces together. And that's okay. So let me see if I go here. I want to get as much of that as I can. So I'm just going to kind of cut here and we'll see what I can do with this. I'm going to cut a long strip and then I'll try to line it up on the other side. But in the front is where I'm going to start so that I'm maybe lining up on the sides if I have to, or in the very back. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, so this is the front of the box and I would lift this up and do something like that where I'm piecing it over. I'll just have to piece it a little bit. But if this is the center here, I'm going to come down a little bit and we'll do, I think that's going to work. So I'll come this way. I want that little center bit here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this strip here. It's really just kind of piecing. Again, I'm not doing precise measurement. Piecing and cutting and piecing as I go along on this. Okay, so I'm going to start here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of my medium in this bowls because I want to be a little more precise and use an artist brush instead of my my paintbrush, my big paintbrush. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just go in sections here, making sure that I have enough medium. Just like this. Oh, hi, Teresa. Thank you. I love the paint inlays too. Thank you for joining and for saying hello. I appreciate it. I thought maybe I had lost you guys because I really get a little quiet when I'm doing this. And if you know that you'll be able to see this project in an edited video where there's not the talking and all of that, and it moves a lot quicker, right? Because that's the beauty of editing, is that you can do that. All right, so I'm going to try to line this up again. I want to go like, let me see. Yeah, I want to go like this. So I wanted this centerpiece to be here. And I'm just going to try to line that up so it hits the center right here. Whoops, right here. All right, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to close that and go right over this. So I don't know how this is. The little locks are not removable. And so instead of misting that though, I'm just going to use my thing, and I'll have to take the paint off of the gold latch, but at least I have this fairly centered and I'm happy with that. I think it's going to be pretty distressed actually. All right, so I'm going to straighten that out a little bit. All right, so I'll go ahead. I could either cut this or I could just go ahead and continue, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and continue around. And then, so I'm glad that it's pretty much going to be a lot of the back that we're doing. So I'm just holding this whole thing in place. I hope this doesn't haunt me in the end when I'm done. The other inlay that I'm using for the longer video, more projects, is the melange, the black and white, and then another one. I'll keep that a bit of a surprise. So I'm going to line this up as best as I can, push that down in place, and then dampen it to release the design. That's okay, Gert. Thank you so much for joining and for saying hello. And you can always fast forward in the replay because this takes a lot of time. So a lot of patience. So now I'm going to do this. So kind of like decoupage, where you're lifting and then adding, but in little sections at a time, are super helpful. And hopefully I didn't just glue my box together. So we'll have to see if I did. If I did, I'll run a little X-Acto knife over it. Okay, so I'm going to come here, press that down, tamp that into place, and then this will help me see where I need to join this up, right? And for this part though, I am going to do this section. I'm not sure that I can line this up completely, but I'm going to go ahead and do this side as well. Adding my medium as I go along. Yeah, I'm probably going to glue my box shut. All right. So we'll push that in place. Tamp that down. And then let's see where we need to do I have it actually going in this direction. So I'm going to cut another strip and we'll line it up from there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this about here, I think. Let's make sure that's going to be wide enough. Yeah, that'll be wide enough. So I'm going to go a little bit wider. I'm just going to do this whole strip. I have it going in a horizontal way instead of vertically. The orientation is a little bit different on the side. So, all right. So let me first see where I would need to line this up. It looks like it's stopping at about right here. And I'm looking at my bit. So here is about where this stops. So you just want to kind of pay attention. So the design stops here, which is about, that's hard for you to see. So the design stops about here, which means I need to come just underneath it or go right on top of it. So I think what I'm going to do is try to go on top of that. So I think I'll get a better lineup if I do that. So I'm just cutting around this inlay. And so this is how this is going to, or is it this way? Let's see, which way are my flowers going? They're going this way. All right. So I'm going to kind of, yeah, I did that a little bit backwards. So let's see if I can do it this way. I'm just kind of lining up, you guys, to see where I'm at. I'm just going to go ahead and join those together. I got myself a little confused. Hold on. Okay, yeah, no, we are good. All right, so that's good. All right. I was like, I thought I had it all figured out, and then it looks like I didn't. So I'm going to get my medium on. Okay, and let's do that. All right, let's see if we can line this up. It's not going to go exactly, but I'm going to line it up here, and we'll see. It won't be perfect. Excuse me. It will not be perfect. Okay, releasing that. We're going to come to this side and see if that actually lines up or if it does not. I'm going to cut this piece and I'm going to come right up here where the roses are. And then we'll see what we need to do to align that. Okay. All right, let's do this. Okay. And I'm going to fold that over. And then we'll remove the sides and then I'll finish the boxes and share the finished picture with you and then the entire process in the edited video. All right, so this one went like this, and now it looks like what I really need is something like this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and, so that goes about there. So I'm gonna come here and just do these little lines and we'll see. It might be a little off, but I'm just cutting around this piece. And let's go ahead and I'm gonna try to line it up about where that is, even though that's not gonna have the medium on it, and we'll see. Even if this little yellow, I'm going to kind of cut that off a little bit because it's going to line up okay. And we'll do that. Okay, holding my breath. Oh my goodness, Kurt, you and me both. That's so funny. All right. We'll see how it goes. Okay. My biggest concern right now is that I've glued my box shut. So, but that'll just be a little touch-up paint, so that's okay too. All right, let me make sure I've got this where I want it. We're going this way with it or this way with it. Let's see what we're gonna do. I'm gonna come here with it. I'm just gonna put it in place and we're gonna go with it. Let me wet this a little bit more. I think it's going to be okay, you guys. Well, I know it's going to be okay because it's just going to be fine. It's going to be what it's going to be. And that's going to be okay. All right. So we started with the front of the box. So let's go here, but that means I'm going to have to pull this just a little bit to get to that. So I'm going to start, where am I going to start? I'm going to have to let the whole thing dry a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just wet this, dampen this just a little bit. And I think I've got Jan. I'm glad you think so. So Jan is up for it, and Gert's holding her breath. And so I think we're going to be okay either way, you guys. I really do. I really like the red on this one. All right, so we're at the front. Let me see if I can get this. I may be able to just use a little bit of something to lift up the paper in a certain section. I think we'll try that. And like I said, I'm going to lose a lot of that. But what I do like is that I've got this little medallion here where the latch is. So I do like that. So let's go ahead and dampen this, and then we'll go ahead and lift that part just carefully. We'll do a little surgery on this. Okay, so I think if I pull the paper right here and just kind of tear it a little bit with my fingers. I think I'm going to be able to lift this kind of in pieces. So the area over the latch is a little bit distressed, but I still do like that is there. Okay, so I'm going to let that hang, and then I'm going to pull this bit. How are you doing, Gert? Are you breathing yet? Okay, so that's not too bad. I do like that we've got this little bit of medallion here. I think I could piece maybe a couple of little roses in here. I think that's going to be fine. Thank you, Teresa. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Jan. I appreciate the vote of confidence. All right, so we're going to dampen this a little bit. Okay, and let's pull, guys. Slowly. Doesn't take too long. This one turned out pretty good. It's lifting a little bit of paint at the edges, but that's okay. All right, and then I've got a little bit of paper right here that I want to pick up and release. Okay, so we're working our way around. Okay, that's the back. That was the last part I think that we did. So we're going to go ahead and lift from this side. I'm going to dampen this again. Get a little more water on that. We're almost done, guys. Okay. Teresa, thank you. I thought it would be a pretty way to do these little boxes. So we're pulling. Okay, so that one's off. And now we've got this little piece. So I think if you're a little worried about how something is going to piece together, if you do it in the back, it's a little less, risky. And so we're pulling that. Pulling that. Can you see that? So far, so good, right? Yes, Jade, you do need to get the inlays. Like I said, they do have a bit of a learning curve. But then you practice and you get the hang of it and you find out. I think the other thing is that it's important to understand how your paint, like your favorite paints and your favorite mediums, work with it. My favorite way to apply them, this is the back that we're pulling off, guys. My favorite way to apply them is with the medium. I still have paint on here that I could use. And that isn't always the case because sometimes using a top coat as your medium will render, it seals the paint in on the paper. But that isn't always the case. It really just depends. So now we're going to dampen this. I want to be careful not to go right over the dried inlay. Okay. And so now I'm going to lift. Okay. Here, and then I'm going to come back here and lift up that little bit of paper, and that is our back. So now we have the top and we have the sides of the box. And I really just don't think I'm going to do the bottom. I'll look at this, and there was an area like right here. I think that it could, I'm going to dry this up really quickly because right here, I definitely want like a little bit of a rose. I'll piece that together so that you can see how easy that is to do. I've got a little rose right here, or I've got some, actually this would be the perfect one. Let me make sure, I just want to make sure this is dry before I do that. So I'm going to dry this up before I lay it on its side. So what do you think of that so far? You like it, Jade? Thank you. I appreciate that. And then, like I said, I'll just be alternating the designs on each of the box. So all of the boxes will have used the same designs, just in different boxes. I just want to make sure this is dry on my back. So I have this little piece of inlay here. This is where I want something, is right there. And so I have this little strip of inlay that is actually part of the bottom, and I would have to piece it together for something. So I'm just going to pick this out, cut this out right here, and then see if I can, if I laid it like right there, if that would just give me the color that I want, or do I want to do it this way? I'm just gonna go for it. All right, so I'm just cutting around this one little area here. And I'm gonna add just a little bit of medium here. So you can kind of fill in if you feel like you want to. I might as well just seal that area while I'm here. Oops. Okay. All right. And we're gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna do this on the edge, line that up with my edge right here. Okay. And put that in place. So that way it fills in. I feel like that's a little bit better because we had a little bit of this rose over here and then nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and dampen that. And let's see if I sealed my box together. Did I? Nope, it's not too bad. Okay, so the box is opening and I still need to do the insides of the boxes, but we're going to let that sit a minute and then we will pull that. So does anyone have any questions, or I still haven't heard. So you haven't used the inlays is what I'm gathering. And I'm not sure about the rest of you. Jan, I'm thinking you have used the inlays before. I'm not completely sure, but I think that you have. Something tells me that you have. I'm not 100% sure. So while that's doing that, I'm going to go here and just remove this paint where it got on the gold area and see if there's any other little place that I need to clean up paint a little bit right here on the hinge. Now I can go in and touch this up with some of the metallic paint if I want to, or I can leave them a little dull. I might touch them up. I'm going to see once they're all done. what I think of that. So this isn't quite dry. I don't know if I can, let's see if I can speed that up a little bit. I don't know. I may have just my patch, but let's see if I can just dry that a little bit and then get it to re-release. Let's see. Okay, I want to be careful not to go, since my paint isn't sealed, I don't want to go over that with the damp rag. Let's see if it's going to lift. It's not really, it needs a little more time. So I'm going to let that sit, but you can see that we've got the top and then we've got the sides here. I'll just show you again what we're working with. So this is the middle box where we've used what we just used on the sides on the top. And then we've got this one where we did the top in this. And I just have the sides and the insides to do on all of these. So that is the inlay project so far and how I got started on this. And I'll be excited to show you the finished project. And I'll take pictures tomorrow. I'll go ahead and work on these and try to finish those. So anyway, let me come over here and see if it's going. Okay, it did. So thanks for your patience. It's something where I hold my breath too, Gert, when I'm doing this. So I think they're going to turn out great. I'm really happy with them. And there's just so many possibilities with the inlays. There's so many color combinations that you can use. Don't be afraid of them. And yeah, so if you are local to a stockist and they have a class on inlays, that might be a great way to become familiar with them. You might try something like that. So anyway, I want to thank you for coming over here on YouTube, for following the channel, for being so supportive and joining me. I really appreciate it. And I will share both on YouTube and Facebook the pictures and of the finished project. And again, the whole process will be in the longer video that's coming out this week. So anyway, wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. Thank you again. Happy creating, and I will see you very soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.